Do I think that all of a sudden he just turned into a different person? I don't. He's probably been this way for years, and he's just been hiding it. Jeff is completely trying to boost his internet clout, like strong arm an argument that, hey, Hussein and Julian are natural. Strong arm. Oh, I gave them a test, and I hung out with them, and I trained, and they're so amazing, and all this stuff, and they know how to use lighting and all this stuff. Like, dude, no one asked you. So now Jeff's coming on line, finding all these influencers, trying to work with them, trying to beef up his own clout. He could have just stayed in his lane. He's poking his nose into other people's business and single-handedly ruining his own reputation. Like, you can't make this up. You cannot make this stuff up. The audacity to think that he's going to have a private conversation bashing somebody, slap them in the face essentially, and then be like, by the way, don't tell anybody I just slapped you in the face. You're out of your friggin' mind. Jeff's desperate reaction to be seen and heard has backfired to the point where now the spotlight is turned on him. All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, we are living in some crazy times, and I want to know, I need to know, how do you guys feel about what is happening right now? First, we saw Solomon Nelson expose Mike Israetel. We had Mike Israetel fire back saying that Solomon is a liar, and then backtracking, saying that Solomon was correct. I didn't lie, though. It was just a big mix-up. This is insane. And I know that some of you guys out there leaving comments, oh, stop talking about this. I think it's actually very important to talk about this. If Solomon didn't bring it up in the first place, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And I think this is a very important conversation to have. Now, Mike Israetel actually may be doing better nowadays, even though he has not apologized yet about this whole thing and come clean about the situation. He might be doing a little bit better, and we'll talk about that later in the video. Keep in mind, guys, everything in this video, as always, is my personal opinion. Let your opinion be known in the comments. And this video is for entertainment purposes only. All right, keep that in mind. As always, all of my videos. During that whole thing where we had Solomon and Mike going back and forth, Jeff Nippard had to insert himself into the conversation.
My former client, Jeff Nippard, has not only weighed in on my critique of Mike Israetel's PhD thesis in the comments section of Mike Israetel's Instagram page, but also reached out to me via email and Instagram direct messages with, among other things, a very interesting request.
We've seen Jeff Nippard insert himself into the conversation a lot lately.
I'm in the gym all the time. It's like somebody's like basically saying, nah, you didn't put in the work, you just stuck a needle in your arm. But
right.
I'm like afraid of needles. I hate needles like so much.
See, that's how you know he's not enhanced, because he said you put it in your arm and you don't inject in your arm.
Which is very interesting, because last time I checked, the reason why people really liked and appreciated Jeff was because he was this like cute little gnome guy. He used to run around YouTube making all these how-to videos. Very, mild-manner reporter Clark Kent kind of style, doing his videos, staying in his own lane, not dealing with drama or anything like that. But now we have Jeff lately seem to insert himself into the conversations that no one asks him to get involved in. One of those conversations recently was where he inserted himself into the whole Hussein Farhat, Julian Fitzgerald, Coach Greg situation. How did that end up turning out for him? Well, it ended up biting him in his butt. He ended up looking like a complete buffoon on the internet and embarrassing himself. Well, what did you expect was going to happen? You literally just dropped in like you did some kind of like Mission Impossible thing into the conversation, and you could have just ignored it. You didn't have to get involved. But why is he getting involved? Well, he's getting involved because he wants clout. He wants more attention online. Maybe these days his apps aren't selling as well. Maybe these days he just feels insignificant. I don't know why he's doing it. I mean, the guy is probably a millionaire.
I thought that was it. That's just half. We still got the dark side. So come on over here.
The guy probably has more than what any of us will ever be able to achieve or have in our life, and yet he's dropping himself into the conversation like a nut. So what did Jeff do when he inserted himself into the conversation between Dr. Mike and Solomon? Well, he started going around leaving comments and basically stating that everything that Solomon Nelson had to say about Dr. Mike, it was nothing. He's over here adding semicolons to the conversation.
Jeff left 2 comments on Mike's Instagram page. The first, dated 4th of October 2025, read, "Bro was out here adding semicolons to Mike's rough draft from 13 years ago, thinking he did something." The comment was liked by Mike Israetel. Jeff then left this comment on a later post by Mike Israetel. "Solomon trying to play off his Reddit-brained parasocial anti-fan hit piece as a good faith attempt to help fix the way administrators archive their papers is pretty funny." Jeff has since deleted both comments.
And then what ended up happening? Dr. Mike had to backtrack and tell the world, including tell Jeff publicly, that, hey, you know what? I can't hide it anymore. Solomon Nelson was right. He reviewed the final draft. He did not review a rough draft like I originally said. And remember, that's what Jeff was backing him up on. Jeff saying, oh, you got this idiot Solomon over here reviewing a rough draft of something, acting like he's changing the world. Nope, it was the final draft. So Jeff, where's your apology? Oh, well, you didn't apologize. You didn't keep your comments up. You actually deleted the comments. You went ahead and sneakily deleted your comments. But you didn't know that Solomon was going to go ahead and do a video on you, now did you? Or maybe you did, and maybe you wanted the bad publicity. I can't imagine why you would want bad publicity, Jeff, because despite the saying, you know, all publicity is good publicity, I don't believe that's true. We saw Mike Van Wyck, the guy who pushed Jeff across a gym room. Well, that publicity didn't help Mike. Nope, not at all. That guy's entire life basically got turned around and shut down after he assaulted Jeff, which, hey, listen, dude, you shouldn't be assaulting anybody. You don't lay your hands on somebody. No, definitely not. And that was stupid. That was just stupid. Let's not get too much into that. But essentially, Jeff Nippard immediately took Mike Israetel's side when Mike said what he had to say, and without any type of like standing back, breathing, could this be wrong? Let me wait a few days to see what's going on. Nope. Jeff immediately and unscientifically, because, science-based people are supposed to go off of facts, right? Immediately took Mike's side, didn't wait at all before he made his comments. He essentially emotionally commented, got emotionally invested, which goes against science again.
How the hell did scientist Jeff know that the originally uploaded text of Mike's thesis was just a rough draft? Mike's whoopsie, wrong version story was simply something that uncritical Jeff wanted to believe, rather than something that he knew. Scientists don't make that kind of leap. They remain agnostic until persuaded by firm evidence, not by personal allegiance or convenience.
And Jeff's reaction, essentially, it shows more of like a team loyalty rather than a scientific approach. No scientific principles followed. Just, oh, you're another science-based lifter. Oh, you and I, Mike, are essentially the go-to science-based people on the internet.
If you're doing something because you've been compelled by the evidence or by the person explaining it that it's a wise thing to try to put into your already sound plan, Dr. Mike drops a little bullshit, Jeff Nippard drops a little bullshit. Well, I can put that in, you can rationalize it, you understand why it's working.
What annoys me a little bit is when the influencer of the week who does the new cool exercise gets labeled as science-based, like gets lumped in with science-based training. And it's like, hey, that's cool. Like, I actually like novel exercises. There's no science on that. No.
So I have to back you. And now he looks like a complete moron because nobody's forgetting those comments you left, Jeff. Nobody's forgetting them despite the fact that you deleted them. You tried to cover up your negligence. You tried to cover up your ignorance. Now, last I checked, Jeff actually holds a BS degree. You don't know what that is? That's actually a Bachelor of Science degree. Let me know if I'm mistaken on that or not. But I can tell you whether or not he actually holds a Bachelor's of Science degree at all doesn't really matter. Regardless, he's holding his BS degree and he's flaunting that thing all over the place. We got BS spewing everywhere, guys. And the biggest problem is that Jeff and Mike, arguably, let me know what you think in the comments. Jeff and Mike are arguably the faces of science-based lifting. Now, you got a lot of others, right? But I think they are the go-to guys. And in my personal opinion, and I got nothing against science-based lifting. I don't. I mean, you need science. You know, even bro science is based on science when you really think about it. And so I got no issues there. But the problem really comes down to the fact that they are making the entire industry, science, especially the science side of things, they're making them and it look horrible, horrible. This is some terrible backstepping, backpedaling, emotional trash that's being flaunted out here. And you know what's weird is nobody's apologizing about it. Nobody's saying, I'm sorry, I screwed up. Where's the apologies? Where's the accountabilities? What the hell is going on here?
As a teenage lifter, I was a huge admirer of Jeff's. He was, at one point, my favorite content creator. However, I grew disillusioned with him upon reading several of his frankly terrible training programs. And when I say terrible, I truly mean it. 2024, a 24-year-old Solomon Nelson released a video critiquing Jeff Nippard's bench press specialization program. In the video, I contended that it contained workouts that'd be physically impossible for most. The impossible workout calls for 4 sets of 6 reps at 85% of 1 rep max, with 3 to 5 minute rest intervals between sets on the bench press. So most online calculators suggest that the number of reps you can perform in an all-out set of any exercise done at 85% of 1 rep max is about 5 to 6. Hilariously, 2 of the 3 references in the calculator that Jeff Nippard provides in his book on pages 64 to 65 suggest that 5 reps is the absolute maximum number of reps you can perform at 85% of 1 rep max, with the 3rd reference on the table suggesting that you can perform 6 reps at 85% of 1 rep max. Even Dr. Pak Androulakis Korakakis, whom Jeff has interviewed, has a chart that you can download from his website which suggests that you can only do 5 to 6 reps at 85% of 1 rep max. In most powerlifting programs, the very maximum number of reps you'll see prescribed at 85% of 1 rep max is 5, which leaves at most 1 rep in reserve. But it doesn't stop there. See, Jeff doesn't want you to do just one top set of 6 at 85% of your 1 rep max. No, Jeff wants you to do 3 more sets the exact same way, with 3 to 5 minute rest intervals. Jeff's program asks you to train to or even beyond failure with 0 performance loss across 4 sets. I really have no words for how incredibly poorly this workout is designed. I mean, it is quite literally impossible by design, whether Jeff intended it to be or not.
Now, I've been saying for a very long time that I don't believe that Jeff Nippard trains very well. You guys will know I've spoken over the years that Jeff has been leaving gains on the table. Why? How? Well, the guy never was a huge proponent of training to failure. His training, in my opinion, was always suboptimal because he never really ever trained hard. Jeff also decides that he's going to be bulking during this. Now, he started off at, I believe, around, 16% body fat, according to his DEXA scan. We can see here on the screen, the guy's looking pretty fluffy. So I would say that this guy, he started bulking, believing that he could not actually make gains unless he did bulk. But first of all, he went on an insanely insanely aggressive bulk. So I think he absolutely could have started making gains on maintenance and maybe pivoted along the way.
In this video, I'll be sharing some of the worst nutrition mistakes pretty much every lifter makes at some point, myself included. In fact, I really wish I knew about these things when I started lifting over 10 years ago, because if I had just known them from the start, I would have made better gains without so many unnecessary challenges. All right, the first mistake most people make is thinking that you can force feed muscle growth. You can't. I think a lot of people see pro bodybuilders eating 5,000 plus calorie diets and assume that if they also want to get big, they need to also eat big. There may be a kernel of truth to this for some lifters, but the reality is that bodybuilding anecdotes are often unreliable. That's because pro bodybuilders have world-class genetics, have already been training for a decade or more, and are almost always taking large doses of anabolic steroids. So it's hard to know if their results are coming from the fact that they're eating big to get big, or some combination of those other factors. Now, the reason I say that you can't force feed muscle growth is that studies consistently show that when you overfeed someone with a large caloric surplus, they gain disproportionately more fat than they do muscle. And this is true even if they're weight trained.
The results, are they in?
They're in.
After 6 months of fully optimized training, and with more than 15 years of training already under my belt, I added 4.5 pounds of lean mass. The thing was, I also gained, ready for this, 11 pounds of fat. That's a bit much. It means my body fat went from 15% at the beginning to just over 20% now. I'm kind of excited to cut down and see how much muscle I retain.
So we can see that Jeff actually ended up gaining some lean mass, but he ended up also gaining a ton of fat as well. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that because he gained 11 pounds of fat, that he never had to go on a bulk, ever. And that the only reason why he gained the muscle he did was because he started training hard and to failure. We recently even had a video where I discussed his whole scientific experiment that he did for a year, and I trained properly for 365 days, right? With my brother. sorry, I shouldn't be doing that. With my brother, we discussed that in detail on the channel. We saw Jeff actually changing the scientific experiment as he went to conform to his lifestyle. There's a reason why scientific experiments are controlled, right? So it wasn't a scientific experiment. It was kind of like a huge waste of time. Like I said, I think it was a year's worth of wasted time. But regardless, we saw that Jeff goes ahead and he changes things up as he sees fit. But Solomon broke the news that Jeff actually employed him to do work on his programs because Solomon was the guy who initially came out and was like, hey, Jeff, your programs suck. You have no clue what you're doing. You need some help, bro. And so Jeff took his help.
Second of Jeff's bad training programs that I critiqued publicly was his so-called women's specialization program, whatever that means. I released my critique on the 27th of May 2024. I argued that the program contains 5 major flaws. 1. Inbuilt junk volume.
So if you've got room to progress in weight or reps, and yet you're always lifting the exact same weight for the exact same reps, then by definition, you'll eventually be doing junk volume. In Jeff's own words, this may have you struggling to get beyond the intermediate stage.
But if this type of volume dominates your routine, you might have a hard time getting past the beginner to early intermediate stage.
2. Excessive volume.
The answer is 54. No well-conducted study hitherto has demonstrated statistically significant benefits in going that high.
3. Excessive frequency.
Jeff and Stephanie's program doesn't do high frequency right, because it just doesn't correctly reconcile volume, intensity, and frequency. This is just an injury waiting to happen.
4. Excessively high rep sets.
Why would you do a set of 30 to failure when instead you could do a set of 8 to failure? Because even if the resulting muscle growth is the same, with a set of 30 to failure, you have to go through something like 26 exhausting reps before you get to the truly growth-stimulating ones. Whereas with a set of 8 to failure, you only have to go through like 4.
And 5. A lack of scientific backing.
Stephanie claims on her website that the women's specialization is backed by science. This claim is false. How Jeff and Stephanie got from greater than or equal to 10 weekly sets for optimal growth to their prescription of 54 weekly sets for the glutes is simply beyond me. I found out that Jeff and Stephanie are time travelers, accessing Brett's 2014 article a full 4 years before it was published.
And I've said for years that Jeff promotes junk volume. Well, what was the first, if I remember correctly, what was the first thing that Jeff Nippard collaborated with Solomon on? A women's program where Jeff basically was promoting tons and tons of junk volume. Well, that sounds about right, because that's what I've been saying for years. That's what many people have been saying for years. Jeff doesn't know how to program. Jeff doesn't know how to train. And that's actually why a lot of people out there say, hey, I don't believe that Jeff was always full lifetime natural. There's plenty of people out there who believe that. Now, I don't know. I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me. But the point is that you have a lot of people out there who see the way he trains and say, hey, if you train like this, you're not going to look, how you looked in your peak condition. And the second thing that Solomon went ahead and collaborated with Jeff on, if I remember correctly, is basically Jeff created a program with heavier weight, but still too much volume, okay? So it seems like he was trying to fix the original issue of, hey, my program's got too much volume. I gave women like 85 sets. I don't know if it was 85 sets, but like 85 sets of, leg curls, and that was too much. And Solomon, he totally revamped my project, so let me go ahead and do less volume. He still did too much volume. Not only did he do too much volume in the second collaboration, but he also had too much weight. He was essentially promoting max weight, if I remember correctly. I don't have the specs in front of me, but you guys can watch Solomon's video if you want the exact details. And you should watch his video, like, and probably subscribe to him. But essentially using max weight, max effort for the entirety of the program, okay? And Solomon came out and he was like, bro, people cannot even complete this program. It's not possible. It's not physically possible. So this goes back to what I've been saying for quite a long time, and what many people have been saying for quite a long time about Jeff. He does not know what the hell he is doing, and yet he is followed and worshipped by his fans. I already know. I'm going to have probably hundreds and hundreds of comments of Jeff fans on here being like, hey, shut your mouth. We love Jeff. He's our favorite garden gnome. All that crap. That's exactly what I'm going to get on the channel. You know what? I really don't care. I'm here to say my opinion. You guys can go ahead and say your opinion. If you say it respectfully enough, I won't block you from the channel. Not a problem. So basically, he created two completely reckless programs that weren't going to help anybody. Solomon critiqued them. He paid Solomon to critique them. And Solomon was using Jeff's name in his bio or in his YouTube, maybe on his Instagram, in his bio somewhere, basically saying, hey, Jeff Nippard did work with me, so hey guys, I know what I'm talking about. Maybe you want to hire me for something, blah, 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 blah.
Shortly after leaving his semicolons comment, Jeff Nippard contacted me to request the removal of a line in my channel description that he felt implied a current client relationship. I responded by offering to amend the line to reflect accurately that Jeff is a past client. Jeff declined this offer and asked that his name be removed entirely. He explained his reasoning by first characterizing our professional history as limited to editing work on a single, unreleased program over a year ago. He also expressed a view that he doesn't align with the content style of my channel. Noticing that his emails were sent from an unfamiliar address, I paused the discussion to request identity verification before proceeding. After confirming his identity via Instagram direct messages, Jeff reiterated his request for his name to be removed entirely. He stated that he can't remember if he ever gave permission for his likeness to be used for promotion. He followed this with a long, unsolicited message detailing his personal grievances with my other industry associates and once again criticizing my recent content, before asking for the communication to be kept private. I didn't engage with the personal grievances outlined in Jeff's direct messages, and instead merely informed Jeff via email that I had updated my channel's description accurately and factually to state, in fact, Jeff Nippard is a past client of mine.
Well, Jeff went ahead and reached out, and I want you to take my name. I want to disassociate myself from you completely. You take my name out of your bio. I don't want to see it. Solomon said, hey, this is my bio, and I don't have to do that, so you can go shove it. So good for Solomon. Very happy for Solomon. Very glad that he did that. And you know, this kind of petty nonsense that Jeff is on, leaving these comments, trying to bully Solomon, and then tell him, hey, I'm bullying you in your DMs. I'm basically saying you're a horrible person. I don't want to associate myself with you. But, you know, do you mind not telling anybody they sent you these DMs? Do you mind? Do you mind? Of course he's going to make them public. What are you, crazy? Are you insane, Jeff? Of course. This shows a complete lack of regard for, like, what is going on planet Earth. Did you really think you were going to bash Solomon in his DMs and he wasn't going to make a video about it? Are you out of your friggin' mind? It shows you where Jeff is coming from. He's not on the same plane as normal people. He's out in the sky on another planet, kind of like where Mike Israetel kind of floats around sometimes thinking, I'm the best guy in the world, nobody can touch me, blah, 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 and all this crap. And this immediately made me wonder. We see the way Jeff has been acting lately. How long has he been this Jeff before we got to see who he really was? Because again, everything that made Jeff special, his calm demeanor, his avoidance of drama, you know, the scientific approach, all this stuff that made Jeff who he is essentially online, it seemed to go out the window kind of after he got thrown across the gym with Mike Van Wyck. But you know what? I said it another day, in another video on another day, that a leopard doesn't always change its spots right away, right? It's very hard for someone to completely just revamp their life, revamp their mindset, and be different people. I'm not saying people can't change, but what I am saying is, how long has Jeff been this Jeff? And it takes me back to when he got thrown across the room by Mike Van Wyck. Mike Van Wyck's entire career, his entire life was destroyed because he did that. But did he know something that we didn't know? Was he aware of something about Jeff that we did not know?
The press is wrong. Ideally, we want presses to be straightforward and straight back.
I'm actually very interested to find out. I am going to go over to Mike Van Wyck's page and just see what's going on there. Because for like, I don't even know how long, all he gets is hate comments on his channel. And I'm not going to lie to you. I've left some hate comments too. Because again, you don't just go abusing somebody, especially when you are like 4 times their size, bro. Throwing him across the gym, Jeff could have cracked his head. That's not something you should be doing. So you should have controlled yourself better. You want to make a video, you want to have a personal conversation, whatever, but don't go putting your hands on somebody who's like 4 times, you know, your size. But did Jeff maybe say something to him, do something to him with that we don't know about, that caused him to just be like, see red and be pushed over the edge? Because we can see what's going on with Jeff right now. Do I think that all of a sudden he just turned into a different person? I don't. He's probably been this way for years, and he's just been hiding it. Jeff is completely trying to boost his internet clout, trying to like strong arm an argument that, hey, Hussein and Julian are natural. Strong arm. Oh, I gave them a test and I hung out with them and I trained and they're so amazing and all this stuff and they know how to use lighting and all this stuff. Like, dude, no one asked you. No one asked you. You're not even Greg's friend. Like, when did you even start, like, you know, associating with Greg and his associates, right? Last time I checked, like, well, you know, maybe you didn't hate him, but you never liked him. You never liked him because he used to tease your ex-girlfriend or whatever, right? So now Jeff's coming on line, finding all these influencers, trying to work with them, trying to beef up his own clout. And for what? Again, the guy has he has it all. He has it all. He could have just stayed in his lane. And again, these are my opinions, guys. You leave your opinions in the comments. He's poking his nose into other people's business and single-handedly ruining his own reputation. Like, you can't make this up. You cannot make this stuff up. The audacity to think that he's going to have a private conversation bashing somebody, slap them in the face essentially, and then be like, by the way, don't tell anybody I just slapped you in the face. You're out of your friggin' mind. And not only that, he tries to minimize the work that Solomon did for him. Solomon had 2 paid gigs. Jeff tries to brush off his association with him as, oh, I only used him for like 1 gig, but then I didn't even use the stuff that he made. Get the hell out of here, bro. Yo, Solomon's taking notes, man. Are you, like, what makes you think that you're going to get away with this? You put a target on your back. Was it worth it? Did you want the attention? Did you want this attention, bro? Like, yeah, sure, you might get more views, but you certainly aren't going to be more liked. At the end of the day, Jeff and Mike's actions are kind of like confirming what so many people have said for years. In this industry, there is more loyalty to people and like cults, like a little cult following over here, cult mindset. There's more loyalty to those people and to the corruption rather than like to the science itself, to the thing that's supposed to really matter. What we are seeing right now is essentially an unprofessional and emotional cult come to the forefront of the fitness industry. These are some crazy times. But to the point of this video, the craziest part about everything, and I don't think this was on purpose, but you let me know if you think it was on purpose. Essentially, Jeff's desperate reaction to be seen and heard has backfired to the point where now the spotlight is turned on him. Like, it was on Mike. But now it's on Jeff. Which is genius. It's genius. Maybe Mike paid him to leave those comments and to start acting up. I doubt it. But he's doing a pretty good job because now the spotlight is off Mike and now on Jeff. So absolutely unbelievable. Mike is probably going to have less heat on him now. Sure, not a ton, but still, who else is going to come out here and just look like an ass? We already seen Milo Wolf look like an ass. Now, you can't really blame him too much, right? He's Mike's friend. Many people in the industry, they say he wouldn't have a platform if it wasn't for Mike. So he's coming to his defense. He wants the YouTube views. He wants the drama. He went out on a limb and said, oh, I know for a fact that it's a rough draft. Solomon's a big idiot. He got proved wrong when Mike pulled back his words and said, nope, sorry guys, I was wrong. It was really the final draft. So Milo looks like an idiot. Jeff looks like an idiot. Mike looks like an idiot. Even East Tennessee State University looks like a bunch of idiots. And I feel bad about that, but it is what it is, guys. You shouldn't have passed his thesis in the first place. So very weird, very wild. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Your comments are valuable. If you like the video, like it so other people can see it. Hopefully, if they like it, they can, feel inspired to maybe make their own videos and talk about this, because this is not something that should not be talked about. When you tell somebody, shut up, stop talking about something, you have an agenda. And it's not because you're tired of hearing it. It's because you simply don't want others to know what is being shared. And this is something that needs to be shared because these guys, Mike, Jeff, whoever else, they are running the science fitness space. And as you can see, they have more loyalty to each other than they do the work itself. Thank you guys for watching. Very excited and happy to be here today, spending time with you guys. I'll see you all at the next one.